Okay, so this is Lou Martin, and I'm here with my very gifted friend, Sonja, and Sonja Velik. Yes, namaste, my friend. Peace and blessings. Great to have you. Great to be here with you.
Lovely to be here.
Thank you. Sonja has had, I'm just going to tell you up front, my friends, an extraordinary life, and I was blessed to, she's going to share some of that with us. And she's on the healing path here, serving others at a very deep level. And I was blessed to, she reached out to me a year and a half or so ago when a lovely monk from Thailand, Monk John, was passing through Cork. And she invited me to interview him. And I fell in love with him. I fell in love with Sonja. And so the divine timing has come around to chat about things again. Sonja, thank you.
Yeah, Lou, it's really a pleasure to be here. I definitely connected and fell in love with you as well. So it is my honor to chat with you today.
Thank you, darling. Thank you. So we were just chatting. That from my heart to yours, that means a lot to me. It truly does. I have to tell you, I'm on the iMac, but I printed out, Sonja. There was a picture of you being surrounded by kids hugging you after one of your workshops and retreats, and I was like, that is one of the most beautiful pictures I've ever seen. So that's just over here to the side. So you've been my guide and companion on the journey here for a while. So let's give you the floor, my friend, and invite you to set the topic and whatever you'd like to chat about today.
Okay, so I was thinking that today, because a lot of us are in the sense of uncertainty about coronavirus and kind of full of worries, full of concerns, I wanted to bring back a reminder of the importance of meditation and how to get grounded and let go of this mental activity that's on the long term really harming us, because the mental activity we create for worry and concerns is not changing anything regarding the situation we're in. I like to use a metaphor of the rocking chair. If we're worrying, it feels like we're rocking, but we're actually not getting anywhere. And it can be really exhausting. So I thought like it might be useful for your audience to revisit the space that meditation can offer to us.
Yes.
And if someone is new to it, maybe to encourage people that meditation doesn't have to be so difficult.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be so spiritually confusing that only gifted people can enter this special state of inner peace. I think this inner peace is available to everyone.
Yes.
And it's available on demand. So that's the topic that I wanted to present. You can tell me if you're okay with that.
Oh, of course, honey, of course. I mean, and one thing leads to another. Will you tell us a little bit about your own journey with meditation? Because I think that's very helpful as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So your audience probably noticed that I'm not a native speaker, so that means I came from somewhere.
Yes, of course.
And this somewhere is Serbia. And Serbia, as maybe some of you know, has had a really turbulent and past full of suffering.
Yeah.
So that's kind of in my past as well, as a part of being a human being from these regions, with, full of war and you know, human bloodshed. Yeah.
Yes, of course. So you grew up in the midst of a civil war.
Yeah, I've been through 2 wars in my lifetime.
Is that right?
And one of them, the last one was in 1999. But to be honest, it wasn't as life-changing as people would think.
Okay.
But it did teach me that life is uncertain and anything can happen anytime.
Yes, yes.
So that was a really valuable lesson, because that taught me not to take things for granted.
Sure.
And to just go, you know, from one day to another and take life as it is.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm not doing it perfectly, but at least the awareness is there, Lou.
Sure, honey, sure.
So that's where I started. And since I think my age of 15, 16, I've been really interested in meditation and yoga and anything that has to do with philosophy, meaning of life, why we are here, and what is my personal gift What is my mission? What is my contribution to this world? So that started unraveling with me going to different, I would say, religious sects, to be honest, like Hare Krishnas, all sorts of Christian groups that were talking about meaning of life.
Yeah.
And I couldn't really find it anywhere for a long time. I started studying psychology. I graduated. I was deeply intrigued by the subconscious, always believing that we need to discover the hidden parts of ourselves. A big fan of Jung. So this was my journey. And then at one point of that journey, I came across this temple in Thailand, and that's where it really hit off for me, because I needed a spiritual teacher. And on my own, I was going left and right, wasn't really sure what I'm looking for. But when I got a spiritual teacher, and when I found myself in a center with many profoundly wise and kind Buddhist monks, that's where I understood, like, okay, I am love, and I'm here to create gentleness and kindness.
Beautiful.
And maybe that's not specific, but I see myself doing this in anything I do, and people resonate back. And people in my life today, like yourself and many wonderful individuals that are connecting with me, they're all pure presentation of love and kindness, and that's telling me I'm onto something.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. That was beautifully expressed, my friend. Thank you. So you discovered in the process of your search and you created and were open to the support, the love, the support, the wisdom of others on the path, who gently and lovingly directed you to keep looking within yourself.
Absolutely.
And meditation is one of the best ways to do that, of course.
And I think you said something really important here, Lou. I think a lot of seekers or people who are searching for some profound internal experience, they often expect it externally. They think if they find someone who is enlightened or really wise or skillful, that just a physical presence or an advice or something, a potion, will trigger that transformation. But my life has been kind of an experience of understanding that it's not about these powerful people in our life, even though they can be amazing teachers and guides, and their spirit can really touch us. But it's in the end of the day, it's us allowing to look within and to trust and to accept that support instead of expecting that someone will do it for us.
Brilliant.
It's us opening up and allowing and trusting.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely agree. I've just finished doing a month of sitting most days, not every day, but most days, 20 minutes in silence twice a day. And it's been a revelation for me, honestly. And with all the guided meditations that I've listened to from channels over the years, the last 34 years, which I still listen to every day and I find very helpful and recommend to people. But that sitting in silence is a new notch in my belt, a new tool in my medicine bag, a new song in my repertoire, something like that. So yeah, and Sonja, you've been meditating daily for how long, would you say?
So I'm kind of like really committed since 2014.
Yes.
But I have to be honest with you and with your community, I'm not perfect at it. So I have periods.
That's a relief.
I have periods of time where my mind is so busy and I'm so maybe clinging on to trying to control something that's outside of my control that I unfortunately drop my practice and then I pick it up later.
Sure.
So it wasn't a straight line of peacefulness and meditation every day, but
Sure.
since 2014, it's been one of my most important values to generate inner peace through meditation. And I tend to do it 1 hour a day.
Beautiful.
Again,
Wow. Yeah.
again, with some exceptions.
Of course, darling. Of course, we're all human here. You know, 2 steps up and 1 step back, I like to say, is the usual dance for most of us.
The interesting part is to see how the difference, how big the difference is when I'm practicing and when I'm not. It's actually really a big difference, and I was surprised many times that for me, meditation is like taking a shower. If I don't shower for a week, I feel it.
Yeah, you notice it.
Exactly. So I try to shower every day, and also shower my mind with the silence or with any technique that I need to use to clean my mind. And that's another kind of important key there, is to mention that one of the confusion around meditation is which technique to use, which, should I follow the Buddhist meditation? Should I follow the Hindu? Should I do like prayer? Should it be in nature with music? Like, people have a lot of questions. And
this is my one for that. Yes. Yeah.
And to those questions, my answer is it doesn't matter which technique you use, as long as it feels comfortable for you, it works for you, and it takes you to a state of meditation. And that state of meditation, I think, is universal. I think for me, and from the teachings that I received from the likes of Monk John and my other spiritual teachers, is that meditation is a state of mind or a frequency in our brain where our mind is standstill, peaceful, and focused.
Beautiful.
And whatever brings you there, could be Tantra, could be any other technique, as long as you arrive to a destination where your mind is standstill, peaceful, and focused, you're doing the right thing.
Beautifully said, sweetheart. Yes, stillness, standstill, peaceful, focused, detached is another, word I put in there for myself,
And if I can say something
yes, of course,
that,
please.
because
Yes, carry on.
absolutely very relevant input. Again, detached, really important, but the detachment needs to happen in a certain space. Like, we cannot detach when we're afraid. We cannot detach when we're uncertain. Our body needs to be relaxed. Our mind needs to be relaxed. We need to be really trusting to be able to detach. So that is it. The state of meditation is that standstill, peaceful, and focus. But that's what we need for our mind to let go. And that's when we reach that state of samadhi, which means no mind, and one with the spirit. And people want this on instantly.
Sure.
Why cannot I detach?
Right.
Because you're not relaxed and trusting and peaceful enough.
There it is.
Once your mind feels at home in your body, your mind will let go. And your mind needs to feel safe at home. That's why your muscles need to be relaxed. Your body needs to be nourished. Self-care needs to be a part of your daily routine. And that's why meditation can be tricky sometimes, because it's a whole lifestyle. But it's so worth it. It's absolutely worth it.
No, that's absolutely beautiful. So my guides say, the guides that I channel, my divine love, they say peace is the presence of infinite possibilities. And the key is to go into peace as often and as deeply as possible. And when we can attain, sustain, and maintain that, then inspiration finds us. And inspiration is the voice of spirit. And when we're listening, trusting, and following the voice of spirit from our heart, then clearly everything works together for good. That's kind of the map. Yes, that's taken me, Sonja, my dear friend, that's taken me 34 years to say that sentence, because each one of those phrases were the result of a channeling. But as you're saying, my friend, we give to ourselves the permission to try. What I want to really celebrate here with you is, for all of us, it is always a spiritual practice, no matter how expert or accomplished or achieved whatever level or state of awareness. You're practicing every single time you go in, because it's Zen mind, beginner's mind. It's always going to be different. We're always going to be stepping into a new river. It's never the same river twice, you know. And so it's that willingness to be very humble, you know, and be very honest, which God bless you. You clearly are, my dear lady. Bless you. And yes, love you madly. And you know, to be human, as we're saying, none of us are machines, computers, robots. That's the other side at the moment. That's what they're cheering for. We're over here looking to be more mystical and more magical and more feminine and more freer in our femininity and masculinity and humanity and spirituality, and you know, live from the inside out. You know, inspiration is when we have something to offer the world, and this is, I believe, you know, how you and I find the courage to commit over and over again to something that, you know, a path that we can't see the end of it. We can only see the next step, and we go, well, this is what I'm feeling to do right now, so by God, I'm going to do it, you know?
Two very important things that I got out of this, and I'm in total agreement with what you shared there.
I'm overflowing with your inspiration here.
It's absolutely resonating. I feel it in my chest there.
Thank you.
Beautiful sense of warmth, connection. It's resonating. And two things that definitely stuck with me is a message for everyone that who is seeking a spiritual experience, to start with a spiritual practice. That the experience will come, but some practice needs to be a part of it.
Yeah.
Of course, there's examples of people that just had a lot of pain, and they're awakening out of the pain without any spiritual practice. Yeah. But I always envied them, because it never happened to me. I always had to work for my spiritual experiences.
Bless you.
I had to pay flights to go places, to, you know, have healing sessions, therapy, like a lot of time and money was invested in my journey as well. So the ones who are not lucky, as Eckhart Tolle or others who just had a awakening overnight, I think that we need to show that we are invested in healing our soul, in carrying ourselves throughout this world in a spiritual manner. Yeah. And yeah, just saying, okay, I matter, my inner world matters, my soul matters, my life matters, and this is where I invest in, where I commit to, and then spiritual experiences will follow.
Right. Beautifully said. Yeah. Go on. Sorry. Yeah. Carry on.
The second point was there about creativity.
Yes. Yes.
And that's to everyone who is struggling being creative at the moment. I know that some of you might have extra time, and some of you have dreams of writing books or publishing your courses or whatever creative project that you're being procrastinating on, and you find yourself like, oh my God, I cannot do it. My invitation is to, first of all, have self-compassion and say, it's okay, I'm struggling.
Yes,
Second
good point.
of all, understand that when the mind is clouded with worry and concerns and uncertainty, it's really difficult to have that space to create and to birth new ideas and to create new dots and connections, because the mind is worried. That's it. It's like there's no space there. So if you're struggling with being creative, maybe some silence, maybe some prayer, or any kind of maybe dancing, any kind of experience that brings you back from your mind to your body and create space, that could be helpful from where I'm looking at things.
Yes. Yes, no, that's beautiful, honey. That's such an important point. The joke from my guides is the choice is simple. It's humility or humiliation, inspiration or desperation. You know, which side of the fence are we standing on?
Yeah.
And I just did a guided meditation this morning from Lazarus called Calling of Miracles. And in there, you visualize seeds of light in your hands, which become balls of light, and then 4 become 1. And then you send your dreams and desires off into the universe. And as you're waiting for them to return, you're playing, you're dancing, you're having fun, you're singing, you're skipping, you've let go of everything, all the worry, fears, and doubts, gone. And as you say, you've come back into that place of peacefulness. The other thing my guides say is we're creating a space for grace, where everything is possible, and we can be that antenna and that receptive and trusting, landing place for these ideas and these inspirations. Yeah.
And playfulness is definitely a very important part of the process.
Absolutely.
Because it's just a guaranteed sense of being present and open.
Yeah.
And a lot of us forget to be playful.
Yeah. Well, now, my friend, you're giving me a little. I'm getting a little movement here from your guides, if I can say this, to invite you to share, if you would, how your little girl survived your childhood to be the beautiful, strong, faithful, gentle, loving woman I see before me here today. What a journey! What a journey, my friend.
Yeah, good question.
Do I have your attention? Yeah.
And maybe for a bit of a context for people who don't know the backstory. My childhood started probably nicely, in the sense that, 2 parents, upper middle class, everything, well, upper middle, for Serbia it's upper middle class, but sure, maybe for the rest of the world it's still like nothing special. But anyway, we had resources.
Yes.
But that's mostly what we had. It's like we had it well financially. But when you would look more into the dynamic at home, it was like a father who was basically living in his own world, and a codependent mother who was trying to probably like do everything she can to help my dad maintain that world of him being the king.
Sure.
What I mean by that is that my dad probably like has a narcissistic personality disorder,
right,
and always has come across as someone really dominant, someone really bossy and controlling. Yes. And my mom then, in order to maintain the balance, had to be a really kind of like a weak person.
Sure, submissive.
That regard, with no insult meant to my mama. She is an angel, and literally an angel at the moment.
Right. But, okay. Bless her. How many children were there?
Yeah, two children. Yeah.
Okay.
So it started that way. I'm aware that my life has been long, so I'm gonna cut the story short. Don't worry.
You have all the time in the world, darling. This is because, sweetheart, honestly, this is why I'm inspired to ask these very delicate questions of you, my brave friend. Some people are going through the scariest moments of their life right now, and to have your courageous example of how to get through these times is a great inspiration to all of us, myself included.
And it's also a good reflection for me, because often when I talk about my childhood, it's the negative sides, but the way how you formulated the question is like, look at my own strengths that I needed to go through that. And I have a lot of them. I'm blessed. I think I have several angels who are guiding me, because I went through a lot of situations there.
I'm sure that's true, Sonja. There's no doubt.
Came out on the other side really, empowered, I would say. Empowered.
Yes, good. So I'm glad you're owning that. Yes.
Narcissistic dad, codependent mom, not a great atmosphere. Brother who's 11 years older than me. Right. Which basically means, and both of us were accidents. so like we're not planned. It just was probably for my dad to commit. Like he wouldn't commit anyway, but because there were kids it's like, okay, I'm in this marriage now. So that's how it started. And
yes, I hear you. I hear you.
Because of that gap in age between my brother and myself, I was raised as almost like a single child, because my brother moved out when he was 18, I was 7.
Sure.
So I had my dad and my mom for myself in that sense, and I got a bit spoiled, to be honest.
Oh, good for you.
And unfortunately, when I was 5, my mom started having symptoms of multiple sclerosis, so MS.
Yeah.
And for a few years, they didn't know what it is. So she's been in several clinics. It actually started when she had an operation and got the wrong blood type transfusion. So she ended up in a coma. And when she came back from a coma, which is also very interesting, she came back as kind of like a changed person. Probably the near-death experience kind of impacted her in a way.
Sure.
But then a few years later, she was diagnosed, and I was 5, 6, 7, I'm not sure, but I was small anyway. Yeah. And from that time, I just remember being this child who doesn't like his dad, her dad, and he's losing her mom. And the brother wasn't in the picture at that point.
Yeah. Yes. So kind of abandoned
and lost and scared for my life.
Sure, honey. Sure.
So that was the initial trauma, Lou. And then from there on, you can imagine.
Wait a minute. Give me a moment here. Okay. Yes. Let's take a moment, everyone. That's a huge statement. Yeah. That's very deep. Okay.
With a father, if you can imagine, a narcissistic man has many love interests. So it's a matter of like a moment a day when he could leave to be with a love interest while I'm stuck with a dying mom. So that was the atmosphere of my upbringing. Yeah. Yeah.
The whole world on your shoulders, my dear.
Yeah, absolutely. Best way to describe it.
Bless you.
And that's been a few years of my life going into teenagerhood. A lot of pressures on me to perform at school.
Wow.
I was a volleyball player as well, and going like all the weekends I was traveling, doing matches, training 5 times a week. So a lot of pressure, and then also taking up the role of my mom to being a housekeeper.
Wow.
And feeding her, cooking, taking care of the household on top of my school and sport responsibilities.
That's
pretty much from the age of 10. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. Okay. Wow.
So
that's incredible.
So that was the start.
Right.
And then my dad was the best dad he could be, but at some point really strict, really controlling. And one thing that was not allowed in my household was my needs and the expression of my emotions.
That's all.
That was just not, there's no space for that.
Right. Wow.
And I kept going.
Right.
I kept going that way and had a bit of like a rebellious teenagerhood.
Sex, drugs, rock and roll, my friend.
Yes. Sex, yes. Drugs, not so much.
Okay.
Rock and roll, not at all, Lou. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, you were saving it up, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I found myself, probably because I was deprived from, closeness and warmth and affection. I found myself falling in love with men really easily.
Sure.
So that was kind of like me having guys from time to time, but
sure,
also
honey.
being in a committed relationship and cheating, and it was a mess. So,
well, yeah. Good for you. I mean, you learn from chaos, you become chaotic. That's life. That's you surviving, as you said. Yeah. Bless you.
And then I suppose the turning point of all of this was then me having a fight with my dad when I was 18.
Okay.
Where I kind of understood, because that's the age, at least in Serbia and in Europe, where if you're 18, you're like legally
an adult.
An adult, exactly.
Yeah, you can move out.
Throughout my life, whenever I was facing some hardships or struggling with being brought up the way I was, people in my life, like my grandparents or my aunt, they kept saying, when you turn 18, you'll be your own person.
Yeah.
Until then, you are almost like property of your dad. You need to put up. You need to put up with abuse or whatever. And then when I turned 18, nothing changed. He continued being that abusive parent. Yes. But then I said, no, that's not okay. So I'm now an adult. So I'll
I'm in a session, John.
Myself.
Yeah. Sorry.
No worries. So I stood up for myself on the age of 18, and I actually went into a physical fight with my dad.
Wow.
And after what I would like to say, like beating up, which is not true at all. I didn't beat him up, but in my head, it's like I stood up for myself. I probably scratched him or something like this, and pushed him away when he wanted to hit me. I just defended myself, and I left.
Good for you. Right.
I left. My aunt took care then of me later on.
Yeah.
And this is where my actual proper upbringing started on the age of 18.
Really?
With my wonderful aunt, whose name is Nada, which means hope.
Okay.
And that is absolutely what she is.
Okay.
She
Beautiful.
is absolutely an embodiment of hope.
Wow.
And the only hope I had at that time was her.
Right.
She kept me, in a loving home for a few years. She was divorced, so I lived with her.
Great.
And that's where my healing started.
Beautiful.
That's where my healing started. And then just to summarize this whole story,
all right.
The healing started with excruciating pain. And this is what some people might not understand, that the healing is not just butterflies and sparkles and fireworks. Sure. For some people, and in my case, definitely the truth, it started with panic attacks, suicidal thoughts, with all the pain I couldn't feel all these years. It was not safe for me to feel.
Right.
I started feeling when I started feeling safe.
Yeah.
And that's why, for me, I suppose, Lou, my mission with bringing gentleness and kindness is actually to bring that safety. Sure, so that people who are blocked, traumatized, who are unwell, they feel that energy of safety. And once they feel that energy of safety, they can feel. And they can start healing, and they can, bring to the foreground everything that was not allowed or was not safe to express.
Sure. Brilliant. Beautiful. Well, thank you for all of that. God bless you. What an amazing life you've had. My guides say we need to feel safe, loved, and supported. And those are our emotional needs every day of our life. And in order to express anything, as you've just touched on there, we need to feel safe enough, strong enough, and free enough. So safety, as you're saying, is always number one. Yeah. Brilliant. So is your aunt still around? Are you still good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's
she's
lovely.
in Serbia. She's a very good-looking 60-plus-year-old woman. I really my role model. She is doing well.
Great.
She's an amazing inspiration.
Great. Now you haven't really touched on the two wars of. Do you want to talk about that at all?
I can touch on that. Probably I didn't include it because it didn't have a significant impact.
Okay.
Because the city, my hometown, the city where I was born, is on the border with Hungary, and that was not within the war zone per se. The country was in war, but we were far away from the kind of.
Wasn't it Sarajevo? I have that right? Sarajevo, is that?
Yeah, Sarajevo would be in Bosnia.
I'm sorry.
So that would be a bordering country, would be close enough.
Right.
But how it impacted me personally is just, in the sense that there was a possibility that my brother and my father could be summoned to be a part of the army and sent to the war zone.
Right.
But other than that, not much, except then financially, because we had hyperinflation. Our borders were closed. So growing up, there were times where, you know, as now that some of us experience in Corona, you would go into a store and there was nothing on the shelves.
Right.
So that would be memories from my life, that there was literally a bag of sugar in the whole store.
Right.
And luckily I had grandparents with a farmhouse, and they had their own gardens, so we were never hungry.
Okay.
But it was like scary to know that, like, the country's closed, you cannot go anywhere, and the war can actually, you know, expand and also start appearing in front of my doorstep.
Yeah.
But not heavily affected. The second war was the bombing.
Okay.
It happened in 1999. So that was a result of Serbia and Kosovo conflict.
Okay.
And Milosevic, who was the president back then,
Right.
I think NATO just wanted him, you know, off the throne.
Right.
So the bombing was taking place, I think, from March to August, something like this. Maybe I'm totally off. I'm not sure. But for several months, we had planes flying over my hometown, and sometimes dropping an occasional bomb. And there were nights where we would observe bombs like fireworks in the sky. You would see them falling, and then the windows were shaking. And yeah, so we didn't go to school. Life stopped for a while, but it didn't necessarily shape my character or my personality. As some other things did.
Okay, if you say so, my friend. Yeah. I mean, I have, you know, I have to sit with that one, honestly. But again, you know, when you're overcoming so much emotionally, and you're by yourself, as you described, you know, you really were on your own with your sick and dying mom and your narcissistic father, and your brother nowhere to be found from the age of 10 onwards. You know, and you having to try to be an adult in that situation. You mentioned, excuse me, as I looked at your page, as I mentioned before we chatted, you have a great post there I'm going to put on my page along with this interview. I just lost my train of thought there. PTSD, overcoming PTSD, helping people to overcome PTSD, all of that. So, family constellation. So in family constellation, which I've done a lot of as well, there's the whole thing that the child has to become inflated. Yeah. You know, that there are right orders of love, adults to children, and then there are disorders of love where the children has to become the emotional adult to the immature parent, etc. And you were, you know, really, God love you, honey, keeping it together, you know, head in your hands, a flood of tears every day, I would imagine, struggling with all this throughout your childhood.
Interesting you mentioned family constellation, because this is definitely a modality that helped me solve this issue through family constellations in the Netherlands, extensively working with one Dutch facilitator. I understood that very own thing, that the roles were reverted. And at the age of 10, I felt responsible for my brother. And I was acting like as if I was his mom. And because that energy was shifted and was not healthy, I would never be able to establish a connection with my brother, because I was pushing for something that was actually a symptom in the system. And I needed to step back. I needed to say, I'm a child, you're a mother. I'm a child, you're a father. I'm a child, you're my brother. I needed to take my place back. And as you probably understand, and also your community here, we have our roles and we have our place in the system. And when a trauma or something kind of like pushes us out of our place and our role, it's up to us to journey back
Sure.
and take our rightful place, and
Sure.
kind of let go of all the burdens that are not ours, all the wounds that are not ours, that we're carrying for others. Out of love, we're
Yeah.
caring for others, but
Yeah.
nevertheless, it's harming the whole family system.
Sure, honey. Sure. Yes. And I mean, you know, you said that beautifully. And we learn to abandon ourselves when we feel emotionally abandoned by others, and we you know, we devalue our own worth, and nothing is ever good enough, and we're never good enough, and we have to be perfect in order to be just okay. And since none of us are perfect or can be perfect, we keep failing, and you know, struggling with this whole you know, this whole dance about all these things. So yes, believe me, I wish I didn't know what you're talking about, but of course this is my story too. Yeah, I mean, I've gone through nearly 40 family constellation workshops because this is what my housemate has done here the last decade in his own work. So yeah, it's an incredible resource, as you're saying. And you know, it's very similar to channeling. It's very similar to theater, which are my other you know, stock and trade, my other training and all that. So it's really interesting, isn't it, Sonja, how you know, I mean, my childhood was moving 12 times between my birth and graduating high school, for reasons I still don't understand to this day, my hand to God. And my dad was a physician and the author of 7 books, some of which were New York Times bestsellers. And he was, like your dad, very narcissistic. He was alcoholic. My mom was hanging on for dear life and trying to keep the family together and keep dad from going crazy, which he did frequently. And then he was killed when I was 17. So you know, I mean, we all, well, bless you. We God love you, darling. Yeah. We all go through, thank you, sweetheart. Thank you from my heart to yours. But what I want to say, why I'm saying all that, my friend, is that, I mean, for me, my journey has been a lot of grieving and taking and learning to take emotional responsibility for my impact on myself and others. And, you know, making conscious choices and healthy choices and sober choices and these kinds of things. That the last 30 years have helped me to begin to learn how to do. But I also feel I want to get your feedback on this. You know, there is a divine timing in terms of how deep and difficult, you know, many of our journeys have been, you know, in our own way, to help people understand, you know, that there are resources within us. If we can quiet the mind, open the heart, we can awaken the spirit, and, you know, healing and ideas and inspiration and help is available. So, you know, I'm just, I'm empathizing and relating to the emotional depth of your journey, which again is entirely yours, and everyone has their own personal relationship to God, to pain, to fear, to love, to healing. It's all the most personal thing on earth, you know, that any of us will ever have. But again, when we've overcome some of these impossible situations, you know, it gives us the faith and the courage and the passion to say, look, folks, there are answers. You do have more resources than you know. So again, hon, I'm just so grateful to know you and share this journey with you.
What is coming up for me from your lovely words is, first of all, you sound a lot like me. So if my friends were on this call, they would be like, that's exactly what Sonja is saying. Because I do deeply believe that if we get wounded in childhood, it is really difficult to open to divine later on. And it's a really profound vulnerability needed from a wounded child to open his or her heart again and
Sure.
to let the love back.
Yes.
And everyone who has done that, I have really deep respect for the courage and the vulnerability that took for you to connect back to the, I would say, to the spirit.
Well, my joke is I've tried everything else. So
there you go. It's a little bit the same for me, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And another thing in that whole journey is to understand that we cannot push things to happen sooner than what we would like. That sense of urgency that I was experiencing to let go of my trauma, to kick it out of my life, was just slowing me down, actually. And what did help is to say, like, okay, I am here and I'm doing my best. And yes, I'm still pretty much blocked and isolated and scared and concerned. Yeah, that's okay. But that doesn't take away from my worthiness, from my unique expression, from my even my permission to be alive and to be happy.
Yeah.
I do not have to overcome my brokenness inside to have the permission to live fully.
Beautiful.
And this is something that's becoming clear to me only in the last few months, to be honest.
Yes.
I always knew it in the back of my head. I understood it as a concept.
Right.
And now I'm kind of having the embodied experience of it. And this is it. A lot of us who know a lot of things, we know them mentally.
Sure.
But it takes an awful lot of time to have the embodied experience of our knowledge.
Yeah.
So, and that's okay. We don't have to be enlightened. We don't have to be saints.
Right.
We don't have to be perfect to be barely acceptable.
Right, dear. Yes.
And that's absolutely fine. And that's how we learn compassion.
Yeah.
So today I got a message from my friend who knows me quite a bit, and he was sharing these examples of how I can speak to myself like I'm speaking to my pet, to my love interest, to my friend. You know, like, why not use the same love, kindness, and tonality I use when I'm talking to a friend who's struggling?
Sure thing.
Or my cute cat, or like, why does the energy that I put into my own self-talk has to be more harsh than I'm treating an animal?
Oh yeah. No, that's brilliant, honey. Thank you for being so honest and vulnerable about sharing all this. I mean, I deeply relate to what you're sharing here. You know, there's a quote from the Buddha, I believe, that says, you are as deserving of love as everyone else in the universe. Something like this.
I have it on my wall.
Do you know the one? Yes. See, we're all getting a lot of help here today, as usual. And compassion, Lazarus has a quote, my teacher says, compassion is the care that's born out of sorrow. And, you know, when you've overcome and survived a lot of suffering, you know, it does open your heart, you know, to the power of love and healing and caring for and about ourselves and each other. And, you know, I think caring itself, just the gift of caring is what we're here to learn to do and to value. And as we care about ourselves, as we care about our loved ones, as we care about our clients and students and teachers and friends, you know, on this path, we do become softer, you know, and we do become more vulnerable, and we do become more available for accepting and acknowledging and making friends with and making peace with our terrible, wonderful humanness, you know, our perfect imperfection. Yeah. And so honestly, when I work with clients, often I do the inner child affirmations, which we put hands over the heart and we say, I love myself, I accept myself, I forgive myself, and I set myself free. And those are the phrases. Thank you. Those are the phrases that come from my guides, etc. As you're saying, so I just offer that to you, my dear friend. And the other one, of course, is Ho'oponopono. You know, I'm sorry, I love you, please forgive me, thank you, in any order. And you're right. You're right. The way we treat ourselves in secret becomes the mirror of how life responds to us in the outer world. And I really, truly believe in my heart of hearts that that inner world is becoming more powerful in all these energetic changes that we're going through right now. So it's such a valuable thing to have that space for grace and that willingness to share that with others and to be kind to ourselves, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, and for some of us, that love that we present to our inner child is the spiritual practice we need to do.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not always like a weekend of ayahuasca in Peru.
Right.
It's sometimes just like holding space for your inner child, and that could be as powerful. Maybe.
Oh yeah.
Maybe I'm mistaken, but that's
No.
how I
You're
see it.
absolutely no, darling. Let's underline that, because I agree with that with my with all that I am. You know, the phrase "sit with it," you know, comes up a lot in meditation and practitioners of meditation, and it's like, you know, whatever comes up, that's what the universe has brought to your doorstep today for you to sit with, you know, and say, am I inviting this? Am I allowing this? Am I resisting this? Am I judging this? Am I loving this? Am I hating this? Am I facing this? Am I running from this? You know, what is my relationship to this person, place, thing, or situation that in this moment the universe has said, here's your teaching for today, you know? So yeah, it's a lot sexier to get on the plane and go to Peru, I'd say, than it is to sit in a puddle of tears and snot and cry one more time about how unloved and unlovable we feel.
Oh, totally.
You know?
I did have like, for most of my life, I would look back and almost feel jealous, looking at families that were more harmonious and childhoods that were more happy. But now when I look back, I'm like, oh, I'm actually quite really grateful, because the person I'm today is definitely a direct consequence of the experiences I went through. And again, this is another thing where I knew the concept of, it's like, oh yeah, you know, the suffering made me stronger, but now I can actually feel the gratitude of it. And I wouldn't change my childhood for anyone else's.
Sure.
And
Same here.
And definitely, I think people recognize that I am more alive, I'm more aware, I am more brave than people who didn't have to go through these experiences.
Yeah.
Because I had to be.
Sure, that's right. Well, that's right. That's exactly right. When life doesn't give you a choice, you have to rise to the challenge.
Absolutely.
You know? And yeah, I mean, I hug you, I kiss you. I'm so thrilled to have this time with you, my dear, and so happy that things are working really well in your life. As we were chatting beforehand, I think you've come a huge long way, you know, since the last time we chatted, and I'm really proud of you, if I can tell you that. You know, so it's just great grace to reconnect on such a deep level with you here today and share all this. Thank you.
The pleasure is mine, Lou. Really delighted to be able to tell my story, to share all the wisdom I got from other people as well. I do tend to isolate, so any situation where I can share with the world is really precious for me, because I didn't go through this, you know, difficult life just to bring it to my grave. I want people to know that there's hope, there is support, there is love. You're not on your own. Never give up,
Exactly.
because it's worth it. Even if you don't see the light at the end of the tunnel,
Yes.
keep going,
Yes. Yes.
and maybe there's someone there in darkness next to you also,
Yeah.
also walking aimlessly, and try to connect with that person. There's many of us. If we hold our hands and keep going, we'll get somewhere.
That's right.
And it's going to be worth it. I cannot guarantee this for everyone, but most of the people who just kept going got somewhere.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, no, that's absolutely beautifully said. And I completely agree. I mean, I'll tell you from my heart to yours, my friend. Lazarus, who was my spirit teacher for the last 30 some years, hundreds of workshops, hundreds of bits of information, hundreds of blendings, all of these resources, always accurate, always honest, always truthful. They said that we'll end the suspense, everyone. Humanity will not only survive, you will thrive. And so this is the price of freedom, everybody. You know, everyone wants to go to heaven. Nobody wants to die. You know that one?
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's kind of like it's built into the program, boys and girls. There's no way around it. So you better make your peace with it sooner rather than later, and learn from that. But again, like you're saying, we've survived stuff that we thought we wouldn't survive, overwhelming fear and loneliness and pain and doubt and confusion, all of that. And as you say, there's been an angel there in the form of a person or a book or a song or a movie or, a lover, someone who's, seen the good in us, or something that's helped us to see the good in ourselves and has pulled us out of the darkness back into the light. I'm absolutely convinced that's the future of this planet for everyone who is willing to make this journey,
Absolutely.
And you and I are the cheerleaders waving our pom-poms. Yeah, exactly. Saying, you can do it. You can do it.
That is exactly how I would describe myself.
Right. Good. Perfect. Well,
and this has to do a lot with what you said there, is sitting with it. And that brings us back to the beginning of this interview, where I said that I want to talk about meditation.
Yeah.
And this is what we actually talked about, is like whatever's happening around, if you can find that space daily to sit with it, and not to try mentally run away or disconnect or distract. If you can sit with it, that's the way out of the tunnel.
That's right. The way out is in.
Yeah.
You want to, you Peter Gabriel, you've got to get in to get out. As an old song lyric. Yeah.
There's no other way. If you ask me, absolutely no other way.
That's right. I agree with you. Well, darling, on that joyous note, where can people find you so they to rush for more of your beauty, love, and wisdom, my friends? Yeah.
So I have a website. Again, it's imperfectly perfect, like myself. So some links are not working at the moment, but the information is there at least.
That's all we care about. That's all we care about.
It's my first and last name, Sonja Roche, SonjaRoche.com. So that's a place where they can find me, or they can connect with me on Facebook, the same name and last name.
Brilliant.
And I'll be happy to answer questions regarding meditation, or take people through a guided meditation, whatever they need at the moment, or just chat. That's also absolutely fine.
Beautiful. Well, as Humphrey Bogart said to Claude Rains at the end of Casablanca, Louis, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
I wouldn't want it any other way.
Thank you, sweetheart.
Thank you. It was an absolute pleasure.
My joy. Have a wonderful day, and we'll connect again soon, Sonja. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Wishing a wonderful day to everyone.
Thank you. Peace and blessings. Okay, bye for now.